Hey guys, so today I'm going to talk to you a little bit about writing, and we're going to talk through compare and contrast. Now, compare and contrast, we've been doing this for the past week, and I'm going to let you know how I factored it into my learning. So for those of you that don't know, I am a private tutor. I work with groups of 2 students at a time, and sometimes just 1 student at a time, and I generally am working with neurodiverse students as well. Um, we tend to break things down to a slightly lower level, and we work at a slower rate than you might work through at school. So basically, compare and contrast is comparing two things to each other, and we look for similarities and we look for differences. Now, over the past 3 weeks, we have been following a New Zealand inventors theme. This is something that I've been building with my students that come to see me once a week. We've been doing this over 4 weeks, and the idea is to build knowledge around New Zealand inventors, and at the same time build knowledge about common themes that come through with inventors, like, for example, having problems and solving them, contributing to local and global industry. And just that idea of never giving up. So we have got some really cool themes that have run through this as well. So in week 1, we looked at Bill Hamilton. In week 2, we looked at Kather Simpson. This week, we are looking at Sir Peter Beck. And next week, we are looking at a very obscure New Zealand inventor called Orpheus. Oh gosh, I hope I've spelled that right. Maud Beaumont. Now, if you want to know a little bit more about Orpheus Maud Beaumont, she is fascinating. So she actually invented the what the modern day life jacket is based off, following the tragic events of the Titanic. And what was quite cool is this is way back in the early 1900s when women were the minority and not seen as a sex that could be doing any inventing. Okay, so back to compare and contrast. So what we know when we've got a compare and contrast, let's rub this out. We want to be comparing two things. So we didn't set into the compare and contrast until week 2. And by the time we got to week 2, we could compare Bill Hamilton to Kather Simpson. And I got my students to do a little table, and it looks a little bit like this. So if they've got some notes, space to do notes in their books, this is what I get them to do. And they need to tell me something unique about Bill, something unique about Kather, and something that is the same. So, for example, we learned that Bill was an engineer and Kather was a scientist. We learned that Bill invented the jet boat. And we learned that Kather invented a special laser that could look at the sperm cells of cows in order to tell the difference between male and female. So she invented a laser to help farmers. Okay, now another couple of things that were different between the two of them. Bill was also a farmer, and Kather worked at Auckland University. Bill was male. Of course, this is something that a lot of my younger students picked up, and Kather was female. And then depending on how much information you delve into in your texts, yeah, as to how much information that you can encourage your students to write about. Some things that were the same is that they both invented something. They were both New Zealanders, and they saw a problem and they came up with a solution. And a common theme that came through with my students was that they never gave up. So here we go, really quickly, some nice notes. We can compare Bill and Kather, and then we can offer some similarities as well. So how do we structure this? I will actually just get my other whiteboard so we can work through this. Okay, so second whiteboard. Now, a little while ago, I had taught my students all about change of direction words, okay? So this little poster here, I download this from the Writing Revolution. You can download these also from the Writing Revolution. They're free, you just need to create an account. Now, in the Writing Revolution book, they do have a section on how to use these change of direction words as well. But yeah, we like to use these change of direction words to help us with our compare and contrast. So we take one fact about our first person, we take another fact about our other person, and then we pop in one of our compare and contrast words. So for example, Bill Hamilton was an engineer. However, Kather Simpson was, or is, she could still be alive, a scientist. Okay, so there we have a beautiful compare and contrast sentence using our transition words. However, transition word, however, we could experiment with some of the other transition words, for example, on the other hand or in contrast. If you've got those up on the wall in your classroom, then students have got them to look back on all the time. After they do this, I then get them to put one similarity in there. They both invented something. Okay, and then this could actually really nicely tie into Bill Hamilton invented the jet boat. On the other hand, Kather Simpson invented a special laser to help farmers. They both came from New Zealand. So you can take it as simply or as in complex as you like to do these and use your compare and contrast. Now, as the weeks went on, of course, we then compared Kather Simpson to Sir Peter Beck, who we've just done this week. And next week, when we look at Orpheus Bowmont, we can either look at Orpheus Bowmont or we can look at what she created, or what she invented, which was the life jacket, and we can compare the olden day life jackets with her more modern version of the life jacket. So we can still keep the compare and contrast going, but we can delve a little bit deeper. Yeah, so that is just a really quick summary of how I have worked in a compare and contrast with our New Zealand Inventors theme. And yeah, how you can go about working in some paragraphs with your students. Now, just as an aside, with my older students, we will be looking at a slightly longer essay. So they need to write me an introduction. The first paragraph will be the differences, and the second paragraph will be the similarities. Then I always like them to pop a little bit of an opinion in there, an opinion of which scientist they thought created the better invention, or why they feel that they might have liked to have met a particular scientist or something like that. So something opinion based, and then they need to finish with their conclusion. So as you can see, you can keep this as simple or as complex as you want, depending what age and grade level you are teaching at. Yeah, hope this helps with working through some compare and contrast. Remember, with anything, if you're getting your students to write about it, you want to make sure that you've built the knowledge first, because we can't write about something that we don't know about. So build the knowledge first through text and through reading. Get them to then write about the text. You can refer back to the text when you're doing your writing. So you're actually completing a beautiful circle of reading, you're cementing the facts through writing, and you're teaching them how to put a really beautiful piece of writing together.